Here's this week's Blending the Family Parenting Tip Tuesday from your host, Tommy Maloney. What's it this week? What's the little tip you're going to give us, Tommy?
Welcome to this week's Parenting Tip Tuesday on the podcast known as Blending the Family, and I am your host, Tommy Maloney. How are you doing? You doing good? You surviving, hanging out with your spouse or homeschooling the kids? Getting a little stir crazy. My wife and I got out of the house, drove up to the mountains, and didn't get out of the car because we wanted to go for a hike, and every single trailhead was closed because there was just way too many people. Apparently, we weren't the only ones thinking, hey, it's a beautiful day in Colorado, let's go for a hike. Anyway, Parenting Tip Tuesday. All right, super excited about this one. This actually comes from a previous interview episode 149 with Taj Dashaun, the founder of Thrive After Sports. Have a listen at that episode. But he asked 3 questions. And these 3 questions have just been inundating my brain. I know you're probably going, you have a brain? Yeah, occasionally. And I wanted to just share these 3 questions because these are great conversation starters for couples, for even because my wife and I were talking about this yesterday. We actually went for a walk yesterday, and she said, I could see these questions being asked by a couples therapist, or even if you're going through maybe pre-marriage counseling. These 3 questions, I really firmly believe you need to spend time with, not only on yourself, but with your significant other. I really think that this will help strengthen your relationship, but at the same time, think about your relationship, okay? So here are the 3 questions coming right from the mouth of Mr. Taj Dashaun.
Here's some good advice. I always ask people, you ask the 3 closest people in your circle, and you ask them, what are my strengths? And you want to write this stuff down too. Write down their answers. You ask them, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And don't let people off the hook with weaknesses either. You got to make sure that when you ask someone close to you, tell them that you need some weaknesses so you can be aware of these things. Don't let them say, oh, you're fine, you're perfect. Especially if you ask your mom or somebody like that, So strengths and weaknesses. And the last one is, how do you envision me making a contribution to the world? That's a deep question. Right. So you'd be surprised, especially if you want to ask at least 3 people closest to you. If you ask them those 3 questions, especially the last one, how do you envision me making a contribution to the world? And you write down all their answers, that gives you feedback, immediate feedback from the people in your environment. Because these are the people who know you best. And they're telling you directly, hey, these are the ways that I see you making a contribution. And you can use their insight and kind of your own, self-reflection, self-discovery.
So there you are, the 3 questions. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And how are you making a contribution? And again, this is why I really feel that these 3 questions that Taj presents really need some thought when it comes to couples. And one of the things my wife and I were talking about was, if you haven't grown in your relationship, let's say 6 months, there might be a time to really think about the relationship. I look at my wife, and she has really grown from the time we started dating to the 7.5 years. I know it's 8 years, the next anniversary, but with that being said, I don't know if we would still be able to have a relationship if she hadn't grown and I hadn't grown, if we had been stuck in our previous marriages and just stuck in a mindset that we're just going to, go day by day, but not growing day by day. And so that's why I really felt that on this Parenting Tip Tuesday, I really wanted to get just the 3 questions to you and give you something to really ponder. I mean, you can take these 3 questions even with your kids, having them say to you as a mom, as a dad, Mom, here's your strengths, here's weaknesses, here's how I see you making a contribution. I really believe that these 3 questions that Taj has come up with, these just are so powerful, again, that maybe this should be part of a quarterly family meeting. You can take these 3 questions in any shape or form to fit you, to fit your relationship, to fit your family. Take them, the strengths and weaknesses, I hate them when in the world of business job interviewing, because that is so old thinking. But I like the last one. I really do. What contributions do you see me making in this world? That is just an awesome statement. And then getting to hear that feedback of what contributions you are making from your very close friends and family. So there you go. I just had to share the 3 questions again. And again, I just wanted them to stand on their own, taking out my comments during the interview and just giving you the 3 questions. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope what you just heard today will really benefit you, your family, and just others you come in contact with. Okay? There you go. That's it. That's all I've got. Thanks for listening. Please leave a rating and review however you get this podcast, be it on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Iheart Radio. Please leave a rating and review. Continue to support this podcast. Thank you. And as Terry Crews would say, your success is my success. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Hug invisibly. Do remote high fives. And, once again, go wash your hands.
Thank you for listening to Blending the Family, the podcast. Do podcasts get ratings? Because that's kind of scary.